Hi there, and welcome to the Ethanol Producer Magazine podcast. I am your host, Anna Simet. We're here at the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop in St. Louis. With me, I have Martin Gross. He's CEO and founder of Gross-Wen Technologies. Martin, hello, and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, happy to be here.
We're so glad to have you here and at the FEW. I think let's begin by having you tell our viewers a little bit about Gross-Wen Technologies and then some about your background.
Yeah, so Gross-Wen Technologies, our core business is algae-based wastewater treatment. So our customers are generally municipalities as well as industries in the food and beverage space. We treat the water coming out of their processes. So usually nitrogen, phosphorus recovery, and we're really entering into the ethanol space to bring anaerobic digesters in our algae system to help ethanol plants become more profitable.
Okay. Where are you guys based out of?
We're based out of Des Moines. So my background is prior to starting GWT, I got 2 PhDs from Iowa State University. And during that time, we came up with a unique way to grow algae. So about 10 years ago, we started GWT and have been deploying commercial wastewater treatment systems over the past 5 years.
Oh, so cool. Okay. So, Martin, you say you have a process to increase profitability of ethanol production facilities. Tell us about that. Can you describe the process?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we partnered with the large water treatment company Xylem, the largest water company in North America. And they have an anaerobic digester technology that's really well suited to take wet cake and syrup from an ethanol plant, and instead of selling that as a feed ingredient, taking those materials and put them into an anaerobic digester.
You still have a chance to win $2,500 cash.
What happens when you're live?
Blackout bingo. Get your
Got blackout bingo right now.
Yeah.
Bring it to the giveaway stage. We'll do our final drawing at 12:30. Play blackout bingo now for a chance to win $2,500.
So we take that syrup and the wet cake, put it into an anaerobic digester instead of drying the product and making DDGs. And by doing that, we're reducing the amount of energy that's required to produce the ethanol, which improves carbon intensity score. So less dryer, lower carbon intensity score. And then we're producing something called biogas during that digestion process. And that biogas is very similar to natural gas.
Okay.
So we can actually use that gas at the ethanol plant to further reduce carbon intensity score. That all is great, that's where the value is, but when you put a digester on site at an ethanol plant, you essentially created wastewater, and that's where the company that I run comes into play, because we need to clean that water so it could be reused back into the ethanol plant itself. So we kind of have this integrated solution where you can produce that biogas, but you also need to clean the water. That's the algae system, and then we recycle it back to the fermentation steps. So a really good circular use of the materials that are there.
Right. Okay. Well explained. Martin, hasn't anaerobic digestion been applied unsuccessfully at ethanol production facilities in the past? And what makes you think that this approach will succeed?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a question we get all the time is, there's a few cases where digesters have been put into an ethanol plant because it makes a lot of sense. If you can produce your own biogas, your own energy, you don't have to buy natural gas, you can lower carbon intensity. So it all makes sense. The problem is the way it was applied in the past. So what we're really doing is different. So there's a project down in Kansas that they were hauling in manure and food waste and all sorts of different products. They're actually hauling into the wastewater or into the ethanol plant to produce the biogas.
Oh, interesting.
Well, yeah, so you kind of have this smorgasbord of stuff to digest, which inherently is difficult to do. And what we're doing is different. So we're actually taking that same feedstock, that's the same thing every single day, and digesting it at the ethanol plant. Now those wet cake and syrup, it is not an easy thing to digest, but that's where we partner with the team from Xylem, is they have really specialized digesters that can handle, the high solids load, the high COD load of this material that makes it difficult for other digesters to digest. They have a technology that's well suited for it. So just a little bit different approach on how we're doing it on the business model side, but also the technology is right here.
Makes sense. Okay. Has your process been demonstrated at scale?
Yeah, and maybe that's a good point to bring up is Xylem's been around for, in one name or another, they've kind of changed names over the past 50 years, but they've been around selling anaerobic digesters for food processors, grain processors. They've done a lot of wet mill plants. They've been deploying this technology for decades. This is just a new application of a technology that's already proven in other markets, bringing it to dry grind ethanol plants. And from our perspective on the algae side, we've been also deploying our system over the past 5 years commercially at a number of commercial facilities using algae to treat wastewater as well. So it's really two proven technologies being coupled together in a new market. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it seems like everyone here is talking about carbon intensity, CI scores. How much does your process reduce the CI of ethanol?
Yeah, so it really depends on how much of your wet cake and syrup you want to put into the digester.
Okay.
But the projects that we've looked at, we're talking to about 12 different ethanol plants right now, looking at integrating this in. And in those 12 ethanol plants, it really ranges from around 5 points of improvement all the way up to 15 if you're putting more material in. One thing that I think is really exciting is it's carbon intensity reduction, so the ethanol becomes more valuable, but you can also make an ethanol plant be energy neutral. They can produce all the natural gas that they need to operate the plant just from the material on site, and all that requires is about 30 to 40% of their wet cake and syrup go to the digester instead, and they can produce all the natural gas that they need to run their facility. So you can actually be energy neutral plus low carbon intensity.
Wow. So cool. Okay. What about cost? What if a producer doesn't have the capital to invest?
Yeah. So, really what we're providing to the market is pretty simple. It says, if you take your wet cake and syrup and digest it instead of self-feed, you're going to make more money. And we've been able to show that through our financial models, demonstrating that there's a good return on the investment. Okay?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, these are expensive upgrades to a facility. We're talking $50, $100 million CapEx type projects, which some facilities are trying to manage how they're deploying their CapEx right now. So one of the things that we're able to offer through the Xylem relationship is they do design, build, own, operate, maintain contracts. What that basically means is they can provide the capital and actually own the digester algae asset. And so it's a zero capital project for the ethanol producers. So, with that, they also get the maintenance and operating contracts as well. So, we're not naive. Digesters, algae systems are not the same thing as running an ethanol plant.
Yeah.
And not that they're incredibly complex, but for an ethanol plant that wants to maximize the profit of the ethanol plant, they probably don't, at times they may not want to divert their focus from running the ethanol plant. And that's what we can provide through the Xylem relationship, just being that big global company. They have assets to capitalize it, they can operate it, they can maintain it. So it's really just this side business beside an ethanol plant that's creating value for the producer.
Win-win then.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, I've loved hearing about this technology. Really exciting stuff, Martin. Is there anything else you want our viewers to know before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'd just say that we are interested in talking to producers, and what we've developed is a simple request for information. So if you're interested, if a producer's interested in what we're doing, we can send over a few questions. Kind of tell us a little bit about your ethanol plant. We take those questions and build it into the financial model and say, hey, your specific plant, the way you operate your plant, the markets that you're selling into, if you digest it and sell it as animal feed, this is the type of return you can get. It's a really quick way to spend maybe an hour, answer the questions we need, and we can give you an estimate on what the return is. And if it meets your investment profile, then we can dig in a little bit deeper and go from there. So if anyone's interested in that, our website's just algae.com. So easy to remember.
What? How did you get that domain?
You want this story?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're a venture-backed business. We've been growing it for about 10 years, and I was just getting out of Iowa State University, and I'm like a scientist engineer. I don't know how to run a business. And so I joined an accelerator, and one of the mentors of the accelerator ended up being our first investor. And I was so excited. It was our first day, sign a check, sign the document. And he comes to signing day, he's like, I've got a wrinkle for you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's going to invest about $200,000. And he says, I brokered the deal to buy algae.com. So I want you to spend $25,000 of this $200,000 investment to buy algae.com.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, come on, guy. You're as an older guy. And I'm like, no one I'm interested in algae. I'm going to do algae.com to learn about it. But that wasn't what he was trying to say. It's like algae.com creates validity that this is the legit algae technology. And at that time, we certainly were not. So yeah, I bought it with the first investment of the company. So it's been good.
That is so cool. I'm glad we went down that rabbit hole.
You bet. You bet.
All right, Martin. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for being here, and I'm excited to watch what you guys do.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and to our listeners, this has been Martin Gross of Gross-Wen Technologies. Go to lg.com, easy to remember. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time.